The book of Exodus, chapter 22, verse 16. And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed.
If a man entices a maid that is not betrothed, meaning she's single, she's not promised to anyone. Go ahead.
And lie with her.
And he lies, or he entices her. He spits game to her. How you doing? What you doing? How you doing today? Gets to know her. He entices her, captivates her, allures her with his words, game as they call it. That's not betrothed, meaning she's single, not promised to anyone. Go ahead. And lie with her. Go ahead.
He shall surely endow her to be his wife.
He has to pay the father a dowry, a marital dowry for her hand in marriage because he has laid with her. Okay? Now, this scripture is often used in the Israelite community to justify that sex is marriage. It is not. I'm going to say it again. Sex is not marriage. Sex is the confirmation of a marriage already established.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, we'll start by giving all the praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rachak, Wadash. Double honor to the elder apostles and bishops of the great millstone that rule well. And peace, blessings, and salutations to the hopeful elect tabernacle of David, scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. Now, you just heard Iythan of the IUIC. All right, and, you know, this is one of those scenarios where IUIC, you know, they get to teaching the law and they, you know, teach with authority and confidence. And their listeners get wooed by, you know, the words and the teaching. But if you really know the law, you know, you'll know that they go off at times. Like, for example, they teach that if you have more than one wife, that's fornication, and that's totally not in the scriptures. Now, adultery is a form of fornication. All right. Spiritual adultery is when you worship another god, another idol. You know, that's fornication. But they always taught that, you know, if you pop a woman, that's not necessarily marriage, but that's just the confirmation of a marriage, but it's not necessarily marriage itself. The union is actually a marriage. Well, my thing is, well, what forms a union between a man and a woman? You know, when the scriptures talk about a man knowing a woman in the scriptures, what did it always indicate? Anytime a man knew a woman, she became his wife and she conceived seed. So ultimately, the act of marriage is when a man and a woman is joined together in the flesh. But once you understand why they actually teach that you got to get this marriage certificate and you got to have these weddings, then you understand why they teach this. All right, this is one of the bread and butter gimmicks, you know, that they use, you know, because they'll promote their extravagant weddings, and it actually you know, gets people to want to join them when they see how extravagant and luxurious, you know, their marriages are, their marriage ceremonies. You know, it lures people to want to come and join their group, especially the women, because, you know, the women, they be the main ones in this society. They love the wedding more than they actually love the marriage. You know, a lot of these women, you know. But anyway, he's right in a sense, you know, because ultimately, you know, it's transactional first, where, you know, you have an agreement with the father, and then he gives his daughter to you for marriage, and, you know, you plan the ceremony, which was part of the tradition, the custom. Then you went into the marriage chamber, and you know, you pop her on the cloth, and then it would be given to the parent to show the dowry, okay, basically the marriage token of her virginity, and you would pay the father the dowry. Okay. But there were other times when men jumped the gun and they just took the woman, and he would have to, like the verse that he read, he sweet talked her, he spit some game at her, and she opened up to him and he went into her. But after he done that, now you got to go and holler at the father, let him know what happened, and you gotta pay for that. All right, then you become officially married to her. If they go ahead and be like, all right, let's just do a feast. You already jumped the gun, but let's just do a feast. Let the families intertwine together, and let it be that. All right, so let's get some scriptures. Now, you already know the first example I want to go to, when Rebecca came to Isaac. Okay. And this is, we all know, this is how, Jacob and Esau's parents came together. So this is Genesis 24 and 60 in the AMP. It says, they blessed Rebecca and said to her, may you, our sister, become the mother of thousands of 10,000s, and may your descendants conquer the city gate of those who hate them. Then Rebecca and her attendants stood, and they mounted camels and followed the man. So the servant took Rebekah and went on his way. Now Isaac had returned from going to Beer Lahoi Roy, well of the living one who sees me, for he was living in the Negev. Isaac went out to bow down in the prayer in the field in the early evening. He raised his eyes and looked, and camels were coming. Rebekah also raised her eyes and looked, and when he saw Isaac, she mounted from her camel. She said to the servant, who is that man that they're walking across the field to meet us? So she was gazing on him. And the servant said, he is my master Isaac. So she took a veil and covered herself, as was customary. The servant told Isaac everything that he had done. Then Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent. So they went inside a tent, and he took Rebekah in marriage. What is that talking about? Did he go in there and he had the ceremony? He went in there and the father was in there and he paid him, and they had a ceremony in the tent. They did all that in this one moment? Nah. What did he do when he took her in his mother's tent? He took her in marriage. So that contradicts what Iythan just said. All right. And she became his wife. And he loved her, and therefore Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. So that loving had to have been good, where it took his mind off of, grieving for his mother. Okay. So that's just one example. And let me get this real quick. Genesis 2 and 24, it says, therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. Meaning they shall be what? Joined together. And how do they do that? Through the act of sex, consummation. That's when they become one. All right. He put his vibration on her. All right. He put his seed in her. And that's how, they come together. Now, let's get this example to show that when you become one with someone, that means that y'all join together through the flesh, through the body. Now, we join to the Most High through the law, right? When we come into the knowledge of the truth, we join the church. All right. We get spiritually cleansed, baptized by the word. We come into this thing. We've been joined into the body of Yahushai. We put away, all these other idols and gods. All right. So that you are pure in spirit and in mind, to be joined unto Yahweh Shai. So Paul uses an example of physically joining with a harlot to prove that when you join with someone, you become one. All right. Now, this is 1 Corinthians 6:15. It says, know you not that your bodies are members of the anointed? Shall I then take the members of the anointed and make them the members of an harlot? The Most High forbid. What? Know you not that he which is joined to an harlot is one body? And what, for what purpose do you get with a harlot? For pleasure. You get with her to pop her. Okay. But when you do that, you becoming in that moment one body with her. For two saith shall be one flesh. Going back to what I just read in Genesis 2. So when you actually lay with a woman, y'all becoming one flesh. So that is an act of marriage. Now, in this instance, this is referring to a man that's supposed to be joined to Yahweh Shai, but if he's still intertwined with these, other philosophies or, idols, then, that's harlotry. Okay. We're supposed to be one spirit with the Lord. We're supposed to be, pure because the Lord gave us a clean slate. So, we're not to be participating in idolatry, paganism, entertaining these other philosophies, and myths. We're supposed to be pure in spirit, like a wife that's supposed to be pure for her husband. So this is an example right there. And you mean to tell me when the Lord had Hosea, which we know there was significance behind what he did, but when the Lord had Hosea go and marry a harlot, let's go to Hosea 1. It says the word of the Lord that came unto Hosea, and he wasn't the only one. All right, Judah, when he popped Tamar, she had to play the harlot in order to get him to, give her seed, because her sons, his sons wasn't doing the job, and they all got put to death. So to raise up seed to Judah so that the lineage of Judah can be prolonged, she did what she did, and she ended up conceiving seed for Judah. All right, but she played the harlot and he went into her. So what do you think happened? She became basically a wife to him, even though that was supposed to be his daughter-in-law. But those men were all deceased. You had Samson. He married a woman. He went right into her. So you got different occasions. Hosea 1:1, it says, the word of the Lord that came unto Hosea, the son of Beeri, in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah, and in the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel. The beginning of the word of the Lord by Hosea or Hosea. And the Lord said to Hosea, go and take thee a wife of whoredoms and children of whoredoms, for the land have committed great whoredom, departing from the Lord. So we know it's a reason why the Lord sent Hosea to wife a harlot, because it was a representation of Israel at the time. They were spiritually being whores to the Most High, given over to idolatry. And he literally went and did what the Lord instructed him to do. He went and joined himself with a harlot. Okay. And he ended up having 2 children. So that's an act of marriage, as we can see by the evidence in the scriptures in these different circumstances. All right. So let me go real quick to what's the scripture? The next chapter over, 1 Corinthians 7. let me see. Let me read. 1 Corinthians 7:36, and it says, "But if any man think that he behaveth himself uncomely toward his virgin, if she pass the flower of her age," you know what I mean, and she blossomed into a sexual maturity where her body is developed and able to have children, which is usually around puberty or the end of her puberty. Back in the ancient world, that's when they did marry. All right, they were advanced back then, but now, your childhood is more prolonged, and your maturity mentally doesn't catch up with your physical maturity. That's why you'll see young girls in grade school, and they look fully developed like adults, but mentally they still like children. In the ancient world, you advance earlier. All right. It says, "And need so require, let him do what he will. He sinneth not, let them marry." Right? Now let's look up that word. Marry. Right? Now this is the Greek word gameo. All right. Gameo. And it says to lead in marriage, to take wife, to get married, to marry. Okay. To give a daughter in marriage. Right. And when you read the root, it's gamos. And it says a wedding, a marriage festival, a wedding banquet, a wedding feast, marriage, matrimony, right? Now, in biology, you have what is called gametes, which is related to this word gamos and gameo. Now, what are gametes? And it says gamete, a mature haploid male or female germ cell which is able to unite with another of the opposite sex in sexual reproduction to form a zygote. So you see how this is in relation to marriage. When a man and a woman have been joined together as one body, meaning in flesh, this act is what takes place in that both organs joining together to release this cell in the form of sexual reproduction. It forms a zygote. What is a zygote? A diploid cell resulting from the fusion of two. All right, two shall become one. You see that? And it says zygote, fertilized egg cell that results from the union of a female gamete with a male gamete. The egg and the joining together of an egg and sperm. And this is how a child is developed. Okay. So you can't tell me that sex isn't marriage. All right. And he's telling you basically, if you get with a young woman and you end up popping her, she wasn't married to nobody, you didn't sin. Go ahead and especially because he's giving advice. All right. If you burning and you need to marry, then let him marry. He didn't sin. But he also warned that marriage can be a distraction. You can have trouble in the flesh. All type of things can happen and he's forewarning them, but he's saying that you're not sinning if you do this. So How could you say sex isn't marriage? And then on top of that, if you ain't giving your woman any the duty of marriage, the marriage ain't gonna be strong. She'll want to go somewhere else. She'll want to leave if you ain't giving her what she need. If you ain't giving it to her, that marriage ain't gonna stay intact. Now I'm not trying to put all of the focus on this one act, because I mean that can be going well, but other things can, but just dealing with the subject matter and the fact that the deacon pretty much said that's not marriage. Well, it's definitely primarily involved with marriage. And I showed in this lesson in several cases that men actually did it and they was considered married. So like not Paul, Peter said we ought to obey the Most High rather than men. This is what the scriptures are saying. All right, but they like to do it in a more traditional sense, just to appear righteous and to appear like they have morale. But this is the same church that teaches if a woman, if your wife don't come into the truth, you got to get rid of her. Or if a wife have an unbelieving husband, she got to get rid of him and then get married with a brother, and that's actually adultery. But yet they'll tell you sex is not marriage. No, you got to legally become married to be married. What? Come on, man. And then you have a overseer. The Most High is your overseer between a man and a woman, not a man. Marriage counseling and all this other crap, getting involved in brothers' business. It doesn't concern you. So they out of order over there, and that's why adultery and all kind of stuff goes on over there, man. But they appear like they in order. When you got all the shenanigans, the marchings, and these classes that they'll have, and the garments that they got on, you think that they're in order. So, just so that y'all don't be confused, what the deacon said, he's not correct. Okay. Plus, we're not in this day and age, we're not going to the system. We're not finna go to the state and get a marriage license so that this devil can be the overseer over your marriage. We're not finna make any covenants with him, man. So you deal with a sister, y'all dealing with each other, y'all married in the eyes of the Lord. All right. So anyway, with that, let me give all praise to y'all, Bashem Yahshai, and until the next one, Shalom.